Good morning, everybody. Belated Happy New Year. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mark. What, we're up and running already? That was a bit of a surprise.
And that was Ronnie.
And Reggie. Where's Reggie?
I think he's taking it easy on the sofa downstairs. Sitting in the kitchen window. It's pretty damn cold and nobody's going out.
Minus 30.
No, it's not that cold. I think the coldest we've been is about 22.
All right. Oh, well, that's the same as here, pretty much.
Last year was special. In fact, I hope it stays that way because I can't be doing with much colder than this.
Well, we've got 30 centimetres of snow arriving in the next few days.
I haven't even looked at the forecast, but we've basically had snow most of winter. So,
I think I've mentioned that I had my sister and brother-in-law over.
Yes, you did when you failed to turn up to the Strange Stuff podcast Christmas party, which was held 20 minutes away from your house and 10 hours away from mine. And guess who turned up and guess who didn't?
Oh, dear. Am I going to have a bollocking for this for the next 3 weeks or something?
Well, I mean, even Eirlyn has put a curse on you.
Really? And she's the most hospitable person I know.
She said to me the next day when I stayed at their place, she said to me, should we invite Mark over for lunch or something today? And I went, no, do not give him the opportunity to say no 2 days fucking running. It's already ruined Christmas.
Yeah, I'm sure you really missed my presence. Oh, dear. How was the gang? How was Ivan?
Usual.
He was the usual, was he?
Yeah. Nothing's changed much there. He asks a question and then continues talking, so you can't answer it.
Yeah. But he's not got a partner or anything.
I don't know. I couldn't get a word in.
Oh, I see.
He literally just talks and talks and talks, which is fine. It's easy listening.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He must have been staying on Solomon, I assume, with his son.
Yeah, and his daughter was down as well. You know, she's quite local to me.
Jessica lives in Skellefteå.
Umeå.
She lives in Umeå, does she? All right, okay. Yeah.
I say local, she's 2 hours away.
In fact, I was talking to my sister about that. How far north can you go from you before you run out of Sweden?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm 100 miles from the Arctic Circle.
Oh, you're south of the Arctic Circle, are you?
English miles, though, not Swedish miles.
All right, okay. Yep. All right. Well, all I've mainly been doing is cooking, emptying the dishwasher, filling the dishwasher, and entertaining.
Entertaining how? What were you doing? Playing polo? Croquet? Croquet on the lawn?
Anyway, I was going to tell you the only mildly exciting thing that happened was that my brother-in-law, Jeremy, he's been wanting to see the Northern Lights.
Oh, and he managed to see them.
Forever. And last night, which was the last night that they were here, we saw the Northern Lights.
Wow. Was it a good display or was it just a faint tinge of green?
No. It was an actual moving display. But what I realised was that all these spectacular photographs you see online, on Facebook.
Oh yeah, the thing is, the camera lens sees the Northern Lights a lot better than we do.
Thank you. And so I'm thinking, well, how is it all these people on the island are seeing spectacular Northern Lights and I'm just seeing, something mildly entertaining? And that's exactly the reason. If you use an Apple iPhone, a modern one, the light display is fantastic and you get the pinks and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's a bit misleading.
It is a bit misleading. But we saw them finally, or Jeremy saw them finally. So that was good.
So he managed to cross one off his bucket list before he dies.
Exactly, yes. Another one off his bucket list. And then now 2 days in Stockholm.
Oh, so you could go to Stockholm for 2 days?
No, they went to Stockholm, not me. And then I've got the next set of visitors arriving next week.
Oh, well, they all want to pay a visit before you pop your clogs.
Well, that's literally remarkably true, actually. Not that there's any plans to pop my clogs, but these days you just never know, it seems.
Yeah.
So, yes, what else? I mean, that's literally what I've been doing, looking after guests for 2 weeks, or 5 weeks, in fact. The laundry room is just... That poor laundry machine must be exhausted.
Our listeners are going to be sitting there now going, fucking laundry room.
What do you mean you've got a laundry room?
Don't be ridiculous. I've got a bog, and there's a washing machine and tumble dryer in the bog.
I think a lot of people have laundry rooms.
In your world.
Or maybe not. But anyway,
what about the walk-in closet? Has that been a problem with all the Uggs?
Don't have any walk-in closets. Not a single one, actually. Don't have any bathrooms en suite. You have a bathroom next to your bedroom. That's almost a bathroom en suite.
No, I have a bathroom downstairs.
Oh, do you have to go downstairs for a wee during the night?
Yeah, but sometimes I just can't be bothered, so I just do it.
In the bed. You can't tell the difference between the cat peeing in the bed and you peeing in the bed.
It's not my bed at the end of the day.
Oh, God. I'm sure you'll discover some sort of rubber mattress. She must have met you before she allowed you to move into her place. I'm sure there's all sorts of layers of protection there.
I've been more concerned about the people who were here before me.
Oh. Well, what's happening? Is she reducing the rent?
No.
Well, I think it's a perfectly reasonable question. The prices must be falling up there dramatically.
Well, you say
crashing
that,
and burning.
You say that, but unfortunately, it is only so far in the public sector or the private sector that they're having less success in renting out.
All right.
But I think next month, or this month, in fact, we should have some movement at my place. We might have another round of redundancies. I can't see that we've progressed much. So I don't know. We've got a new CEO. We've got a new.
He's a Dutchman, isn't he?
I don't care, because honestly, these people, they're just fucking fairies in the sky as far as I'm concerned. They're all coming in to make a quick buck. I don't see any hope for us the way we're going at the moment.
Well, the only thing is, if you get a sufficiently bright person in, they may convince the banks to extend the financing facilities so you can stay in business for a bit longer.
Yeah, but I mean, a bit longer for us costs billions.
No, you're right. Absolutely. I can't, the wage bill, I mean, it's such an enormous campus. The heating bill alone must be God knows how much.
The only way we can stay in business a bit longer is to reduce the major overheads. And the biggest one, of course, is the wages.
Well, the company is quite lucky to the extent that, unfortunately, most of the people there haven't been there for more than, is it 2 years is the cut-off? So it's actually quite easy to get rid of people.
Well... Actually, no, 6 months is the cut-off. Once you've been there for 6 months, you've got a permanent contract.
Oh, all right. But even 6 months, they've probably employed 500 people just in the last 6 months, haven't they?
They've got rid of all of those.
Yeah, that was the first cull. Oh. I mean, fingers crossed, obviously, that they find some sort of solution. I mean, the solution is to start producing the product in sufficient quantities that they can actually turn a profit. Or at least get some revenue flowing, cash flow.
Yes. Unfortunately, they spent so much time diversifying and research and developing that they didn't focus on actually getting the production up and running.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I'll tell you what, the old boss, what was his name? Carlson or something?
Peter Carlson.
Peter Carlson, he's been in for a lot of stick. I mean, they've actually said in the paper that, inadequate, incompetent management. Peter Carlson was the main reason why it all went to hell.
Well, I was saying that a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all very well being a potential tech billionaire, but you have to have the tech.
Oh, is that what he was?
No, I mean, he used to work with Elon Musk, didn't he? At, Tesla.
That's right. He came from Tesla, didn't he? Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's just an old boys club, basically. We've been having swings and roundabouts with different various board members who've all worked together in the past. We
Yeah.
had this temporary CEO who's supposed to be the CEO of the Canadian branch.
All right.
And her biggest thing was that on her CV, she'd been like a CEO of 11 different companies. That scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. Why?
Be the CEO of one for 11 years, not 11 for 1 year each.
Yeah.
Because that just proves that you are an absolute incompetent.
But the thing is that can you imagine the difficulty in finding someone who's willing to take on the role? Is it, what do you call it, a poison chalice or something? I mean, you know, it's a beating
kind of
for
a
nothing
poison
or something.
chalice, but I mean, the money they're on, you might as well make a couple of million quickly, and just move on to the next one.
What they should do is they should approach Kikus Maximus. Who, you may think, is Kikus Maximus?
Well, I know who it is. I saw him in Gladiator.
Well, you couldn't be further from the truth. I think he'd like to think he was in Gladiator. Didn't you see that? Don't you know who Kikus Maximus is?
Why would I?
Elon Musk has changed his name on X to Kikus Maximus. That is his
For
account
fuck's
name.
sake. Isn't he busy enough running America and being invited to run England?
Well, invited?
Have
No
you not
one has
seen?
invited him anywhere. He's been bloody pushing himself onto the guest list. You idiot. 100 million to Nigel Farage.
Yes, exactly.
And he's
And
saying
Nigel
that,
Farage is saying, we've got a spot for him. How dare you sell the... I mean, they've been doing it for thousands of years, but how dare you sell off my country to rich people?
well, you know that he was actually, I don't want to go down that road, but he was criticising Keir Starmer, saying he should resign for things that happened 10 years ago and had all been resolved and in the public domain for years.
Yeah, but fair play, Keir Starmer should never have been Prime Minister.
He got quite a decent vote in the election.
Only because look at what he had to go up against. I could have won that election.
Who was it? Rishi Sunak.
Yes, exactly. And the Tories as a whole. I mean, for God's sake, I could have won that election.
Maybe that's your new thing, Andy. You should go into politics.
No, but I believe all politicians should be shot. So,
well, shoot yourself and the job's done.
but I'm not quite ready to go yet.
No.
Talking of going,
yes.
I thought we'd do a little episode on the afterlife.
Oh, really?
Yes,
have we not done that before?
And near-death experiences.
No, it's not. It's by definition after-death experience.
Yes, and
no, yes.
On
now
near-death
I'm confused.
experiences, you get a glimpse of the afterlife, don't you?
Flatline. That was the movie starring Gwyneth Paltrow, and that was what it was all about.
It was Flatliners, and it was Julia bloody what's her name?
Roberts.
Yes. Fucking hell! You've got the mind of a Roundtree's jelly, except not quite so bright.
Oh dear.
Do you remember the names of two other people in that film?
No, I didn't even get one of them.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Okay, yeah, and Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, was he in that one?
Could have been.
I was thinking Patrick
Dempsey.
No, it was a young guy who was part of the Brat Pack, along with Julia Roberts and Kiefer Sutherland, but he sort of vanished out of sight after that film.
One of the Baldwin brothers.
No, that's a different generation.
Is it? All right. Anyway, is that what we're talking about? Flatliners?
Kind of. Yes.
You've had a near-death experience, haven't you?
Oh, many times.
Yeah,
I woke up once next to this girl. Fucking hell.
That was her name was Death, was it?
I took a look and I went, Jesus,
Oh dear.
take me now.
So there can't be too much actual evidence or,
You can't
interesting facts
really
or
bring
news about
anything
it.
back, but people have some very interesting experiences.
You're not going to talk about my life flashed ahead of me. I saw a bright light. Is that going to be the extent of the research that you've uncovered? Bright lights and flashes of your life?
Well, if you like. Now, this is from a guy, or actually it could be a girl. They go under the name of Fairy Mary.
Excellent source of publishing information, podcasting information. Why not? Airy
And
Fairy?
Fairy Mary.
Fairy Mary, which sounds like a girl.
And she says, I could write an entire dissertation on this subject, especially since this is the subject that my mother wrote about in her own college entrance essays. For the sake of clarity and brevity, I will try and keep things cut and dry to start.
So she is actually writing about her mother's essay on this.
Yes. My mother died in a fire, burned alive at the age of 4. And when I say died, I mean she flatlined several times over the course of her months in the ICU. And if you've done much research into the science of the Lazarus effect and those who do seem to pass and come back,
I'm sorry. Lazarus effect?
It's when the brain and the body don't completely shut down, even when the heart gives out. So you come back to life. That is the Lazarus effect. You can be resuscitated.
All right, yeah.
Some of my first memories are feeling the hard, warped skin of my mother's scarred back. It looks like melted crayons dried onto chaotic patterns all down her back and arms. I still wonder if this is why she never remarried. I'm guessing she has a deep-rooted sense of distress and unease in her own body. My mother was born...
What? She must have had that. She did get married because this happened. Oh, right.
Remarried.
Right.
Pay attention. My mother was born in 1965. Her name is Kim. And when she was 4 years old, she climbed on top of the stove to reach for some cookies in the cabinets while my grandfather was out drinking, slipped on the dial and caught her hair, back and arms on fire. Her older brother is the one who heard her screams and helped her. When she was rushed to the hospital, my grandmother was able to get her there only to have her flatline from burn trauma and smoke inhalation pretty soon after the team began assessing her burns. I can only imagine the fever in which the team of doctors desperately tried to save my young mother. Most ER doctors would do anything to save a child, and I'm glad they did, each time restarting her heart with a defibrillator. She said she was told by my grandmother that the longest time she was out was about 60 seconds. My mother named me after a Turkish word that means heavenly. It's a beautiful notion, but now I've come to see the full scope of things. I wonder if she named me that in a subconscious attempt to bring heaven to the hell she has experienced. Maybe I'm reaching. It's a lovely name, but it's a heavy burden to be all of heaven for someone, especially your mother. At times, I felt I don't even exist as a separate person from her. I felt such an empathy and turmoil for her and our situation that I begin to hyperventilate, some sick shadow of the times that she was gasping for air in the smoke, unable to breathe properly as her body shut down around her. I worry it came at a cost, a spiritual toll perhaps. Maybe it's the literature major in me, but I am reminded of the themes of Frankenstein and Icarus and of how flying too close to the sun can melt the glue of your proverbial wings. Coming undone, metaphorically, as humanity has increased our scientific ability to prolong life, have we tried to play God in such a way, not fully comprehending the ricocheting after effects? Again, making poetic sense of this situation is a coping mechanism. I I'd like to understand more of the science behind this, as well as different spiritual and cultural explanations. But I have a theory. Ever since I can remember, I have known my mother is a remarkable woman. She served 13 years in the US military. She came back from the dead, for Christ's sake, and she spends her nights at the Border Patrol and 9/11 dispatch keeping people safe, but she is haunted. She is dying quicker than most, be it severe, debilitating and terrifying depression, cancer, mood swings and dissociative episodes. She's always captured my fascination and horror in the way death and life seem to be courting her. Not to be overly narrative about it, but it's been the best way I've found to cope and explain these patterns of phenomenon that I've observed in my mother's life over time. I'm 27 now, and I've seen a massive improvement in her emotional well-being since I decided to stick around to help her. However, when I tried to leave for college, she became unglued. My father, her husband, left us when I was only 3, and my sister grew overwhelmed with my mum's mental instability at 14 and ran away. So my mum and I's relationship grew disturbingly codependent and deeply toxic, with her saying things such as, "My only purpose on earth is to be a mother. If I don't have you, I have nothing. I should just die. And God sent me back to be your mother." And when I withdrew during college, she fell into such a state of depression that when I visited her house, it was as if she had already died. No animal should live in the conditions that she had fallen into, with shit caked into the floor and larvae on the walls. My kindergarten projects buried under piles of dirty clothes, fast food wrappers, and technology from 2001. Sounds like your house.
This is a bit of a depressing story, Andy, for New Year.
Yes. Death is a depressing thing for
Yeah, but we
most
haven't got
people.
to the death. We've just got living in miserable conditions and mental health problems. I thought you were going to talk about, meeting St. Peter at the pearly gates.
Okay, well, despite the mental and physical anguish, she has always tried her best to be a good mother, and I can't ignore that. No matter how much it hurts to witness and experience, I cannot run away and live a new life and try and forget like my sister has. She's taking care of herself better now, and I've probably left some parts of the story out because, quite frankly, the trauma, I'm still processing it and writing it. It certainly helps, but it fucking hurts like hell. I wonder if, when my mum died, when she burned alive, I wonder if she felt and experienced hell on earth. The burns frying her nervous system endings with the worst pain imaginable, and that is tucked into her subconscious, freezing her in a strange state between incredible military woman and incompetent 4-year-old burn victim who deeply needs cared for, a type of care I fear I can't provide, a type of care that has become warped in nature. I've sought therapy for many years now and sought endless academic knowledge in attempts to soothe this generational grief burned into me and my mother. One day, I hope to be able to afford grad school so I can keep studying and maybe shine some light on the darker parts of the psyche. Perhaps it's foolish of me to keep seeking answers to questions I'm not ready to explore. And perhaps I can use part of this essay to help me enter into the field of neurological study. Perhaps I can use the horror my family has experienced and create and heal rather than let the heaviness of it all destroy my future. I don't know how much longer my mum has left. She had an MRI last week, and I'm very curious to see those scans, but no doctor has the time to hear me out with their hundreds of patients. I know my mother's story has deeper meaning and connotations than many in the scientific community might find intriguing when it comes to the study of neuroplasticity and trauma over time. I wonder if the army even knew the full extent of her burn trauma while deploying her in active duty. I wonder if they even cared. I wonder if that burn trauma is what made my mother so fearless in the face of death as a soldier. I will keep editing this story as it unfolds, but if you have any insight, any case studies, any observations or reactions that might be helpful or even scientifically valuable in this bizarre case when it comes to understanding the human condition and our relationship with life and death, I am all ears.
And that's it.
Yes.
So that is this person's contribution to the afterlife.
Or near-death experience.
Well, Andy, this poor woman. Oh dear. I mean, even the mother didn't even relate to a near-death experience.
Well, she did. It changed her life, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you ever had a near-death experience? Apart from
No.
that time when you told a joke at a dinner party?
Not that I'm aware of. Oh, well, yeah. No, I haven't. I've come close to having pretty fatal car crashes, but
Oh, I came close about 9 times when I drove down to Mora and back.
was it bad?
Oh,
It wasn't.
it's, because we are so limited with daylight and I'm blind in the dark. It was the
Oh,
most
no.
terrifying journey I've ever undertaken.
Really? Oh.
I just can't do it much longer. I shouldn't have done
Oh.
it this time, to be honest.
Oh. Oh.
Anyway, to what you might call a real story of afterlife or near-death experience.
Yes. Is this? I hope it contains some bright light reference or St. Peter.
That's exactly what you
either...
said you didn't want to hear at the beginning of the show.
No, I said I do. Now, having heard that first story, I'm definitely gunning for a bit of white light.
Okay, well, this is an anonymous contribution. When I was 15 or so, I successfully, committed suicide using pills. I went out to the woods after school, but I don't remember anything after that. The next thing I remember was floating in what seemed like a giant river, River Styx maybe. All around me were thousands of bodies, people, old-timey shipwrecks, cars, all floating, with what sounded like a whale song or something. Something suddenly pulled me to the surface, it felt like, and I popped through the surface and threw up bugs and seaweed and stuff. Someone was behind me, but I couldn't see them. I was inside some kind of giant indoor gymnasium or auditorium or something. I woke up in the hospital. I'd been in a coma for about 2 weeks. 14 years or so later, I was cleaning out my grandma's house. She's a hoarder. And I found my aunt's witchcraft, astrology, tarot books, along with a notebook that she wrote her dreams in. She was into all kinds of stuff like that before she was murdered when I was 6. In the dream book, page 3, third dream down, she dreamed that she had rescued a kid from a pool in the gym.
Oh, I see. So there's a connection between
Yes.
what he dreamed and what she, the one who died at 6 years ago or something from a murder, when she was murdered when he was 6.
Yes.
Well, that is
Spooky.
mildly spooky.
I would say so.
But it's anonymous. It could have been written. You could have written that.
Not really. I haven't got the time.
Or the imagination.
Or the inclination.
Well, that's all right. That would have been a good story.
All right. This is probably written by you. Fallen in Jackie. This is not my story.
Falling in Jackie.
Yes, that sounds like a sexual accident.
I was going to say, it does a bit. Poor girl. Who fell into
Oh, sorry,
her?
Jack.
He?
This isn't my story, but my mum, grandpa and aunt, since all the stories connect in the time span of weeks. I was only 1 when my grandmother died. My grandmother was very involved with her children's lives since we all lived on the same street while she was still alive. My mum likes telling me this story because she has no explanation for what happened. She was staying up late one night, waiting for my dad since he used to work the night shift. She heard movement in the kitchen, cabinets and the fridge opening and closing, so she figured he was home. She waited a while for him to go into the room, but he never came. Curious, she walked into the kitchen and found some cabinets and the fridge still open. She was freaked out because my grandma died shortly before and she was always in the kitchen cooking. To this day, my mum still thinks it was her. Similarly, my aunt told my mum that late night she hears walking down her hallway and someone using the restroom like my grandma used to do every night. My aunt was the first to move away after my grandma died. What solidified the story was my dad was with grandpa cleaning out my grandma's room. They were divorced. And my dad left to get something. When he came back, my grandpa was pale and terrified. When my dad asked him what's wrong, my grandpa just said, "I just saw your mum." According to my aunt, my grandmother told him something that day, but he refuses to tell anyone exactly what she said. Maybe there are logical explanations to their encounters, but I just think my grandmother wasn't ready to go.
Well, that's a ghost story.
Well, not really.
Well, it is. That is a ghost story. You've got it on the wrong pigeonhole. You're reading the wrong Reddit. What's the thing in Reddit? What's it called? Sub post office Reddit or something?
Sub post office.
You've got the ghost stories mixed up with the near-death experiences. I think Gwyneth Paltrow would have done a better job than this, or even Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts, please.
Or Keith Sutherland, can't you? Why didn't you ask him to contribute to the podcast this morning?
It's a bit early for Kiefer. He likes to do cocaine binges late into the night.
I think the poor fellow's dead, isn't he, Keith Sutherland?
Is he?
Or was that his father?
Donald. I think Donald's dead.
I think it must have been Donald, I'm thinking.
We're going to get told off for this because I'm sure that he was probably in a Christmas special with Bing Crosby or something.
Now, that would be interesting, actually. If he was in a Christmas special 2025, you thought he was dead, but actually he's with us tonight. I want a near-death experience. I was lying on the operating theatre.
Okay.
My heart was in the hands of the surgeon, and I saw a bright light. That is what I want to read about now.
Okay, this one is titled, "I Don't Know What to Make of My Near-Death Experience."
Well, if he doesn't or she doesn't, how are we to make anything of it?
Well, I'm guessing it's a she because the name is Fit Raspberry.
So we've had Fairy Mary, we've had Fit Raspberry, and I fell into Jackie.
And this is quite a recent one. This is only 20 days old. So I literally have no one in my life that I can talk to about this. And every time I try to, people just look at me like I'm crazy. So I figured I'd post it here to maybe get further insight.
Very sensible.
If you want proper advice, get to Reddit. Ask a bunch of complete trolling strangers.
Like you. I bet you have responded to this poor girl.
I'm not sure it is a girl.
All right.
I often hear people talk about their NDEs and they speak about seeing a light.
Yes,
or seeing alien beings.
Oh, no.
And many other things. But with mine, it was very different.
Oh,
with
dear.
mine, everything was dark.
Oh,
it was
dear.
a black, endless void. Something I was always terrified about when I was a kid is that when I died, it would be just nothingness. That everything would be dark and scary. I don't even like being in rooms that were completely dark. But when I had my near-death experience, there was comfort in the void. It didn't feel scary. It didn't feel distressing. For me, it didn't feel at all similar to the way others have experienced the void. For me, it was peaceful and comforting. The endless darkness felt like home. I didn't want to leave. It felt like eternal sleep. It was honestly the most beautiful thing I'd ever experienced. I felt at home for the first time in my life. I don't know why I felt so comfortable in this darkness when other people have been terrified by it. Something makes me think that my time, or maybe my time on earth has expired, but that I'm being kept here for an unknown reason, like my soul isn't supposed to be here anymore, but I've been tied down by something. I'm honestly more scared of the fact that I felt so comforted there and that I'm still here. I really don't know what to make of it.
Sorry, did I miss something? Did she describe what led her to this near death? I was in this terrible car accident and I was crushed under the weight of a 40-ton lorry.
No, maybe she wanted to keep that private.
Well, well, that's not near death. That's just having a dream about black holes. No, sorry, have I missed something in that story? I might have been distracted for 30 seconds. Did she describe what led to the near-death experience?
No.
Oh, right. So it's a bit rich describing it as, I want some feedback on my near-death experience.
Well, there's a very pertinent question here.
Yes. Why are we looking at this is rather pertinent.
And this comes from Seahorse. And it says, "Hello all. I recently lost my dog after 16 great years together. Has anyone experienced seeing their pets during an NDE? I miss him so much, and it would be very comforting to hear some stories of reuniting with your lost pet. Thank you."
So what he's wanting to do is have a near-death experience so he can reunite with his old pet.
I mean, you know,
I would personally prefer to avoid death at all costs.
When I lost Satan,
yes,
I was very happy when she turned up 2.5 weeks later. And I'm still, to this day, not sure that she's alive. She could be a ghost cat.
She could be. Actually, you're right. She could be an alien. She could be an. Have you witnessed a change in character? Does she do strange things? Prefer different food?
She's always done strange things.
Well, she's your cat.
Okay, how about this?
I think, to be honest, I think I have come closer to a near-death experience than any of these people who are writing about near-death experiences.
Well, there's a strange one here, which I've got a different take on. But this one is quite weird.
Who is it by? Batwings.
Barsum Witch King.
Carry on.
It's been
what
about.
Is it? Go on. What's the head? What's the rubric? What do you call it? What's the headline?
NDE or something else?
Well, let's establish if he was near death, shall we? That would be a good start for it to be a near death experience.
Okay.
And I hope it doesn't start, I was high on ecstasy and I think I might have had a near-death experience. When my mother woke me up in the morning...
No, it's been about 10 years since I was born/reborn into this body. I don't remember if my entity has had a body previously. Since the moment I woke up, I knew that the being that I am was not the original occupant.
Alien. You've got the wrong category. This is definitely an alien story.
I woke up in this body with no memories, just some feelings of things that I just knew, but I didn't know how I knew. Slowly, with time, I've had some residual memories from the previous occupant come to the surface. Enough to piece together that the body I inhabit, what appears to be to others, appears to be an NDE. For me, it was more of a hermit crab situation. The previous owner chose to move on, and I took over. I don't remember why or where I came from, but it feels very far away. I'm not sure if that's a measure of time or space or a mixture of both. But I'll just say the human experience for me has been an ongoing process of adjustment and acceptance. So this could be an alien invader.
Well, that's it. I mean, is there another meaning to NDE? these people have referred to NDEs. I reckon it means something completely different.
No, but he's saying that the person whose body he's in had a near-death experience, and while they were having it, he's just slipped through the back door, as it were.
Now I'm getting confused. So does that mean that the person who originally inhabited the body did actually die?
Yes, but they weren't supposed to. They were having their out-of-death experience, their out-of-body experience with their NDE.
Are we talking about astral projection now,
No,
out-of-body experience?
when your soul leaves your body, and then then you go towards the light, and someone says, "Get back! It's not your time." And while he was going towards the light, someone's gone in the tradesman's entrance and taken over his body.
But did the fellow have any kids? Wouldn't the kids have recognised this alien abduction takeover
We don't go that deep. Anyway, he says, I'm tired of second guessing and denying the reality of my own experience. So I wanted to reach out and see if anyone else has heard of something like this before or met someone who has personally had a similar experience. And also, would you still consider that an NDE since the host body experienced near death, or more like full death because the original entity did pass on?
And how do people do people actually respond?
Yes, and the first one could have been written by you. Very interesting indeed. But my question is, not
very interesting indeed.
But my question is, what did your family and friends think when one day you're a totally different person and you don't have any previous memories? Like, did you know people around you when you just came here or entered your current body? There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, and
so the answer comes back. It was the senior year of high school. I recognised the direct family members and long-term friends and had some backstory, but most of what I knew was several years outdated. I also had this very strong instinct to just blend in and don't discuss this, act normal. So I tried that very poorly. I had a lot of people tell me that I was weird or different. A lot of people were upset at me. For example, the previous occupant's girlfriend, who I had no memory of, and I didn't talk to for a while because I didn't know her or that we were a thing. Eventually, I had to tell her to her face that I don't remember her, and I saw it break her heart, but I was like a stranger at the bus depot telling you a sad life story. Like, okay. Oh, right now I'm supposed to say that sounds really difficult. I'm sorry that you've had that experience. Now,
have they ever done a survey of these contributors to Reddit? How many of them turn out to be school shooters and things like that? I mean, is it safe to say that every school shooter has had a Reddit account?
No, because Reddit wasn't around for Columbine, for instance.
Is it Chinese? Seriously, is Reddit Chinese?
I doubt it very much.
I know TikTok is Chinese.
Yes, but Reddit is not. Reddit is definitely Western.
Change subject. I'm just getting a bit nervous about, not this subject, but about what I'm thinking about. Do you use Facebook? Do you ever go on Facebook?
Just to update our statuses and the podcast.
All right. Do you use Instagram?
No.
You don't? No, because, I follow a few people on Instagram, and obviously I've got friends on Facebook. I say obviously, amazingly, I do have some friends on Facebook. And if you actually break down the content, so sort of unsolicited video clips, I mean, nothing monstrous or horrible, but just, people doing whatever, I would say that nowadays, more than half of them are Chinese. I'm not joking. People just fixing a tap or something, they're Chinese. Some piece of furniture, Chinese. Some cooking thing, Chinese. Everybody seems to be Chinese on these platforms, and I'm getting a bit worried.
Why?
Well, because it's all bloody Chinese.
Oh, fight back, make some videos.
Well, no, but literally, I mean, it's like, Well, the thing is that they don't. It's not because of them. It's because of this algorithm that decides what content gets shown to me. And I've never expressed any interest in anything Chinese, and yet. Wouldn't you be concerned about that? I'd be more concerned about that than having a near-death experience.
Hmm.
Not, obviously.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I quite like being Chinese, I think.
Would you? What, so you can go shopping in Bicester Village? That's what most Chinese people do. I reckon Bicester Village has had at least half the Chinese population through its doors
What
to
is
go shopping.
Bicester Village?
You don't know what Bicester Village is?
No.
It's not surprisingly based in Bicester, and it's an outlet village that 20, 30 years ago, 30 years ago started with just like 10 shops, and now there's like 200.
It sounds like a
And
nightmare.
the customer base is predominantly Chinese, evidenced by the fact there's a special train that leaves Marylebone station every half hour to take shoppers to Bicester.
Is it called? Is it called the Orient Express?
It could be, because the announcements are in Chinese as well as English.
Ooh.
I jest not. I joke not.
Well, to return to the answer that this guy gave.
Yes.
After about 2 to 3 weeks, the family sent me to an inpatient youth facility. I spent the majority of the time at this facility working on my portrayal of the child that I was told I was supposed to be. The family brought in old journals and showed me a few old home videos on their phones when they visited. They even brought in results from personality tests that the previous occupant had taken and therapist class notes from teachers. It was very bizarre and disturbing to observe these essential strangers as they attempted to manipulate and mould me into their idealised version of a person. It repulsed me a bit, but I didn't even consider alternatives. I didn't even know the rules of existence yet. So I didn't know that I had the ability to make choices based on my desires rather than being other beings' expectations of me. Only one of those brought me understanding from my assimilation process. I almost told them to stop visiting because they made me feel bad for not knowing them or for not having any strong emotional attachments to them. But they were the only sense of cohesion I had, so I played along with it. At least their weekly visits helped me to understand the concept of how time works. And at least the faces had names associated with them. And I could see recognition across their faces when they looked at me. Nobody else did that. Anyway, I was in there until I turned 18, roughly 7 months later. Team and the family felt I was mostly good to discharge, but ultimately, the family convinced me to stay on for a young adult program for a couple of additional months. And this program was absolute chaos, but I learned a lot in my 1 month and 22 days there. Eventually, I went out into the world and tried to be a human, a child, a sibling, and a friend to a bunch of random people. It felt like I'd been assigned social obligations, and I was told that my function was to complete these obligations. Now, it sounds to me like whoever it was had some kind of a breakdown and was basically disassociating.
Yeah, well, I would agree. The poor fellow was just a teenager having issues.
Yeah, but I mean,
serious issues, obviously. Did he get back with his ex-girlfriend that he didn't know?
no, she was broken-hearted because he refused to recognise her.
So how is he now? How long ago was that posted?
This is very recent, 28 days ago.
Oh, well, I hope he's feeling better, the poor chap. Where is he? In America?
Yes, they're mostly in America.
Can't we get some Swedish content or a bit of English content? Or doesn't that happen? Isn't Reddit something English? Is it only English speaking, or do they have different languages?
Well, I'm not going to read different languages, am I?
Well, you might read Swedish.
Yes,
after
but
25 years of living here. You might read a bit of Swedish.
Do you know, no offence to our Swedish listeners, but Swedish language is awful to read.
Here's a question for you. Have you ever heard of an app called Duolingo?
Yes.
And
I tried it out a few years ago, probably 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. I wasn't very impressed with it. It's kind of,
because I'm learning Italian
are you?
slowly.
But you are Italian, so that's kind
Well,
of
no.
a cheat.
No, but that's why no. But I thought that would be, because I can't speak a word of Italian, I thought I'll actually learn some Italian. I thought that would be good. So what is, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to, where you're trawling through all of this stuff, what is the head Reddit? Is it like, was it unidentified flight? No, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Near-death experience, NDEs.
It's basically near-death experience.
And this is what you've trawled through?
Yes.
This is the best of what we've had.
I
mean, this poor fellow, obviously, as you say, isn't that actually, that is a condition, isn't it? When you use the word disassociation.
Yeah.
Maybe he was unhappy with his family and girlfriend and wanted to change.
Well, we've all been there. You just had 5 weeks of it.
Yes, that's true, actually.
Okay,
Longer.
here's one from Sad Fly.
Sad Fly?
Yes.
Oh, this is going to be an uplifting experience, for sure.
Okay, so to start this off, basically what happened is I OD'd in a remote spot where barely anyone goes, and all I remember is lighting up the drugs and instant blackness. So I'm guessing it's crackhead or meth head.
Is that what you like? I was just about to say, I thought you lit up heroin. Don't you light that up?
You do chase the dragon as well. You do light up heroin. But that's very last century.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You get a much better kick if you go for crack.
It's cheaper, more readily available. It could be heroin. I don't know.
When was it written?
A couple of months ago.
Oh, well, then it's definitely modern. So you think it's either, what do you do with meth? You do
smoke
that as well, do you?
You put it in a pipe, same as anything else that you smoke, really.
All right. So you smoke crack cocaine, do you?
Yes.
All right. Well, that's good to know if I'm ever
Have you been sniffing
any.
it all these years? You've been doing it wrong.
I've been sticking it up my arse and not getting any.
I think that still works, actually.
Oh, does it? Yeah. Really?
You know, when cocaine first sort of hit the west coast of America, people used to blow it up each other's arses with straws.
Well, it's better than sucking it out of their arses, that's for sure. What on earth? Really? That's what they used to do? They used to blow it. Is there an expression? Blow it up your arse,
where do you think that expression came from?
I didn't know it was an expression.
Blow it up your arse. Yes, please.
Oh dear. So anyway, this poor fellow, we're already taking the mickey, and all he said, he's nearly overdosed. He went black. We should put him in touch with that Julie. Jack fell into Jackie. She had an all black experience.
Well, not sure he was black.
This fellow's heading in the same direction, poor chap.
Okay, so instant blackness. But then I woke up for like 30 seconds and I couldn't move anything but my upper body. And these two people were across the street just staring at me. No movement or panic or anything like that. I'm literally dying. And they just stood there and looked. And I can barely describe them, but they were very white with white clothes. I was yelling, begging for help and water until my voice got soft. And I blacked out and woke up in the hospital. I still can't understand what happened or if these people were real. I asked the doctor who saved me when it happened, and they said someone walked by and saw you, but there was two. So someone walked by and saw him lying there dying, but there were two people.
Do you know the sort of things that cross my mind when you're reading these type of stories? So this fellow is such a drug addict that he's shooting up on the street. He wasn't in a bedroom or a crack den.
He was in a park of sorts in the woods, a very remote area where people don't normally go.
Right, but the point is that he was outdoors.
Yes.
So he was a serious drug addict. If you're a serious drug addict, and this may sound a little bit peculiar, but where does he get access to a computer to be able to put things on Reddit?
I don't know if you've been to London a lot more recently than I have. You know, the beggars have card readers now. So
the things you read about in the Daily Mail, it's unreal.
It's absolutely true.
Sorry, just say that again. The beggars have card readers.
Yes, you can't say I've got no change anymore. They will rip out their card reader, and they will charge you for the privilege.
The things you believe.
It's absolutely true, Mark.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, I've got a card reader. You don't need change anymore, man.
It's absolutely true. They've all got mobile phones. I mean, you can literally set your phone up now to scan cards.
I'll tell you what, if a beggar approached me saying I've got a card reader, the first thing I would think of is some poor begging gang where in fact they don't even get the money. They get fed a bit of gruel for breakfast and then maybe a sausage in the evening, and that's it. The rest is history. So come on, there's a gap. You've got to keep talking.
One of the replies to this says, that's so crazy. 30 minutes ago, I just almost hit a parked car on the freeway while I was going 70. It was honestly...
A parked car on the freeway?
Yes, because they do pull over to the side, don't they?
No.
For some reason. Yes.
It's a freeway.
Yes, but if they have a flat tyre or the driver needs a piss, you know, this can happen. People die like this every day. It was honestly insane luck. I was sober and not speeding like I normally did.
Oh, dear.
2 cars in front of me swerved, so I swerved too, but I felt my car losing control in my hands. I thought I was going to spin out and hit the medians, but I was able to stop and safely pull over in the shoulder of an exit. I was freaked out, but still grounded. I opened the door to try and check on them, and I just see a black SUV just completely smash into the parked car. There were no hazards or brake lights. The car was turned off. The sound of the plastic braking just kept crunching in my head. My stomach dropped immediately, and I just wondered if they were okay. I threw up and got back in the car to call my boyfriend, just hysterically crying. Almost everyone behind the accident had pulled over or just driving off extremely slowly. But cops showed up within 7 minutes, and when I saw the ambulance, I was relieved. I couldn't build up the strength to get out of my car, and my boyfriend was focused on getting me home safe, which he did. But now, thinking about it, I'm still so traumatized. There was nothing to be done except witnessing it. I believe the parked car was not consciously parked because they failed to have their lights on or even move to the side. They stayed parked for 2 minutes after I pulled over. But the SUV driver wasn't paying attention at all until the very last second, because they did try to veer to the left, but it was too late. Maybe it was a drunk. I'm going to call the police station this morning and ask if any updates can be given.
So hang on a second. So what this girl is now relating is a story in answer to the fellow who was having a drug overdose episode and saw black.
Yes.
Or have I got completely confused?
You're confused.
Sometimes listening to these stories, it's as if you've put quite a complicated book like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and they're playing the chapters randomly. So I can't work out what the hell is going on. It's like an audio book with random shuffle on the chapters.
Well, randomly.
So what is this?
Randomly.
So what has this got to do with this poor drug fellow?
She's saying that at least he wasn't parked on the freeway and had a black SUV come up his jacksie.
I mean, Or maybe she's wondering if he was. This darkness was, in fact, the dark SUV that's just careered into the back of him.
It could well have been.
And that's why he ended up in hospital. It was nothing to do with a drug overdose.
Now,
it was because he was in a serious car accident. He just didn't know it.
if you had to pick a way to go, how would he pick?
You mean to die?
Yes.
Well, I don't know, but I think everybody says hypothermia is the best way to go. Go out onto the ice. You feel chilly for about 10 minutes. Then you don't feel chilly anymore. Then you feel warm, and then you just get unconscious and die.
Well, a lot of people say that drowning is really painful.
Painful?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was a good way to go.
You've got a lake behind you. Why don't you give it a go and come back and report?
I'll have a go on the ice now because it's frozen.
Well, you can do both. You can do hypothermia and drowning.
And drowning, exactly.
So win double.
Sorry, where does this come from? Oh, you're asking if I was to have a near-death experience, what I would like to get close to.
Right, but I'm just going to tell you about somebody's experience with drowning now. A lot of people say that drowning is really painful, but it isn't. And I have experienced it.
Good.
One time, band camp. One time when I was a kid, I went to Thailand to visit my mum. Oh, I hope it wasn't 2001. With my great-grandparents, and my grandparents stayed at a hotel, and the hotel had a pool where the deep end would reach 10 meters.
No, I'm sorry, that just doesn't happen.
It actually does, especially if they do scuba diving courses there.
All right, okay, all right, I stand corrected.
So that's about 30 feet in real money. And I made a friend there, and we collected a bunch of mini loose tiles off the wall of the pool, and I dropped mine. So I went down to get them. When I was at the bottom, I didn't have any air left. So I took a deep breath. And I started to drown, but I didn't feel anything. I just began swimming up, but I felt no pain, no worry, nothing actually. I felt really calm and peaceful while my body was trying to get to the surface. My mind was peaceful, and when I came up, I was completely fine, just had to cough up some water, so drowning doesn't actually hurt.
I mean, I'm sorry to keep criticising these people, because obviously they need help, but who in their right mind, how old was he? 7 or something, 10. He was young, he was with his great-grandparents.
Yeah, so I'm saying...
Who can, I mean, you're a diver. Can you free dive, you know, like you just jump into a swimming pool with your trunks on? Can you swim down 10 metres?
I can't put my head down underneath the water in a bath these days.
No, but that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just thinking, what's the depth of a normal pool? 3 metres?
3 metres maximum.
And
usually
I stroke
2.5.
4. Sometimes they used to be 12 feet. I remember that. And you would really struggle to swim down to the bottom, let alone, you know, do anything when you're there. And this fellow reckoned it was 10 metres.
You actually release your lungs to lose buoyancy so that you can swim deeper.
Oh, maybe that was my mistake. Funnily enough, I like to keep my breath in my body.
That's your problem. You've got 2 big floats inside your body that is trying to bring you back to the surface.
Yeah, but if you breathe out, what do you want to do? You want to breathe in, don't you?
No, but you don't understand. As you go down,
I think I do.
As you go down 1 meter at a time, or 10 meters at a time, you get an extra atmosphere's pressure, so your lungs actually compress. So you don't need so much air in your lungs to feel full.
I'm having to have a little think about this.
It's a fact.
Yeah, but all right, let me ask you, in simple terms, can someone dives into a pool with swimming trunks on, dive down 10 metres?
Yes.
That's a hell of a way to go.
Yeah, I know. It's the same depth as the height of our stacking in our warehouse. And when you look up, you think, bloody hell, is that all it is, 10 metres? It looks enormous.
Anyway, we can't just criticise these poor people who make an effort to write things on Reddit that, are there for general consumption, and it may help some people.
Yes.
I don't know quite how, but you never know. I think I'm going to start a Reddit account. Then you can read some of the things that I write.
Oh,
Why you would want to, God only knows.
yes.
Now, you realise that we're overshooting the mark. Aren't we limited to an hour a time, or we have to pay more or something?
No, we don't have to pay more. We had a week off last week, so we've got excess time. But anyway...
And, just so you please note, I haven't mentioned once about rushing off because actually the house is empty. I don't have to prepare a meal for anybody. I don't have to do anything.
I
other than
actually
empty
thought that you were going to tell me today that you weren't really up for this anymore.
Why?
Well, because of your complete and utter blasé attitude to our Christmas bash. And also, Phil did mention that he's getting fed up with you starting every episode with, I can only stay for 20 minutes because I've got to stuff a turkey.
But we speak every week. It's not like everybody else. We literally speak every week. And you're right.
And
sometimes it's pretty challenging.
Literally every week you start the show by saying, no, I can't stay long.
Did I today?
No, it's the first time ever.
Thank you.
But,
Thank you.
You know, maybe this is your New Year's resolution. You're going to behave like a human being rather than a traffic warden with a traffic code up their arse.
Well, I can guarantee you next year I'm not going to have loads of guests over for Christmas and New Year and into the middle of January. Maybe I can come up to Skellefteå.
Oh,
how would you feel about that?
Yeah,
I'll tell you
I'll
what.
have to set a reminder on my phone and see what happens on the day. Hello, Andy.
But I'll tell you,
I'm in the Wood Hotel. Dinner? Oh, sorry. I've got to take a dump in 3 hours. And Satan's looking at me funny, so maybe I'll see you next year.
Maybe you don't understand the concept of having family over for Christmas. Generally speaking, they expect... Well, they expect you not to disappear.
When they're there for several weeks at a time, they'd be glad to see the back of you for a couple of hours.
Yes, I've just had a very nice message from my sister. Shall I read it to you? Let me see what she said. I haven't read it yet.
It was very nice visiting, but couldn't you have gone out a bit and left us to our own devices for a while?
Ooh.
She sent,
excellent. No.
She sent you money?
No. Ah, there we go. No, she's full of praise and thanks for the level of my hospitality. Lavish lunches and dinners, especially your roast chicken, she says.
Oh, God, you and your chicken, what is it? It's a bit like me and my foot fetish. To have?
And I've got to think of another menu for 3 days next week. There's literally no rest here. When was the last time you had guests staying with you? Full stop, actually. But when was the last time you had family staying with you for several weeks? I wouldn't
let my family stay with me. Any more than they would let me stay with them. We know each other.
Yes, well...
Why would you invite family to stay with you? That's the whole point of leaving home, is to get away from those fuckers. Isn't it?
What, leaving the country?
Yes.
That was why I left the country to get... Well, that doesn't say much for your bros. I thought you were quite close.
Yes, we get on well because we don't live together.
Because you live 1,000 miles apart.
We don't need that kind of closeness.
So let me ask you this. Are you disappointed or pleased that I haven't actually said, I think it's time we knock it on the head?
No, I was just half expecting it. You know.
Were you?
Yeah, I was. That was such a pathetic excuse for not turning up.
That I had guests?
Yes, because you had guests. Like, you were 10 minutes away from where we were, and there were people there that you haven't literally seen for years.
Yeah, but firstly, I didn't know that they were there.
Well, that's not the point either, because I was there.
Well, no, but and as I say, we speak every week. I have to put up with your conversation every week. Why on earth?
And for the first time in 10 months, I was actually within meeting distance.
I must have been having a bad day. I mean, I had forgotten. I mean, obviously, I'd forgotten. It was
And
only
how
when
can
the
you
reminder
forget? I
came up.
mean, we recorded like 5 days before I
Because I
arrived.
had a 9-month-old baby
Oh,
and 4 relatives in the house.
a 9-month-old baby who had both its mature, married, grown-up parents to keep it alive.
What I'm going to suggest, Andy, is next year you have 5 family guests over to stay with you for several weeks and then see how clear your mind is working.
I don't even think I have 5 family members alive.
You do. You must have someone who has had children.
I'm much more smarter than you. I would never dream of inviting 5 bloody people to stay at my house over Christmas. What kind of idiot
And New
does
Year.
that?
Well, you're right. You're right. And more, it's not over Christmas and New Year, it's stretching into the middle of January. I've got a whole new crowd arriving. I can't help that, people like to visit me.
Anyway, we have to knock this on the head because I need to go shopping before the sun goes down.
Oh, right. So you need to knock it off the head now, and that's perfectly acceptable.
It's 2 hours. It's 2 hours after our normal starting time. I think I'm quite entitled.
Only 2 minutes ago you were saying you could stick around, and now I'm able to. Oh, I see. You have to rush off.
Have you seen that I've been promoted to maestro?
I did, and I was wondering, what the hell does that mean? What does maestro mean?
Maestro, it's what you call the master musician.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I am the master storyteller.
What instrument do you play?
I play this.
Exactly.
Vocal instrument.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Hope you enjoyed our near-death experiences and ghost towers and mental breakdowns.
That had nothing to do with near-death experience.
I think you can see a theme in there.
Yes, that it had nothing to do with near-death experiences.
Anyway,
that was the theme.
Join us again for our next episode in the new year.
I can't wait.
Have yourselves a great week. If you do have a near-death experience, don't bloody tell Mark expecting any sympathy because you won't find any.
No.
But feel free to let me know.
Here.
In the meantime, have yourselves a great week. You can follow us on the Facebooks. Send us a like, a follow, a subscribe, whatever. Also, check out our Patreon, where you can find lots of extra episodes for free at patreon.com/strange stuff podcast, and a lot of episodes that unfortunately you'd have to pay for, but they are brilliant. In the meantime, stay safe, drive well in the snow and ice if you're in Sweden, and don't go out after dark.
Very sensible.
Bye-bye.
Cheerio for now, everyone.
Ah!
What?